Everyone, Sean Murphy, and this is my informative speech on Al Capone. Al Capone was one of the most famous American gangsters. He was also known as Scarface. He rose to the ranks of the Chicago mob during the Prohibition era. He was sent to Alcatraz prison in 1931 for tax evasion, and his fortune was thought to be around $100 million when he was sent to Alcatraz. So, early life of Al Capone. Al Capone's family came to New York in 1894. His father, Gabriel, was raised and educated in Naples, and he was also a professional barber. His mother, Teresa, was pregnant with him when she arrived to New York, and he had two older brothers, Vincenzo and Raphael. They moved to a poor Brooklyn tenement where Alfonso Capone was born on January 17, 1899. The family was a regular law-abiding family, and there was no indication that he'd become public enemy number one. Capone's schooling, both inadequate and brutal at a Catholic institution that was full of violence, emotionally scarred him. Despite having been a promising student, he was expelled at the age of 14 for hitting a female teacher and never went back. Capone met the gangster Johnny Torrio, which had become his greatest influence. Torrio taught Capone the importance of maintaining a respectable front while running a racketeering business. He represented a new dawning criminal enterprise, transforming a violently crude culture into a corporate empire. Capone joined Torrio's James Street Boys, which eventually became known as the Five Points Gang. In a youthful scrape in a brothel saloon, Capone was slashed with a knife across his left cheek, which brought on the nickname Scarface. Torrio moved from New York to Chicago in 1909 and to help run a brothel in the Chicago mob. In 1919, he sent for Capone. It was either Capone or Frankie Yale who allegedly assassinated Torrio's boss, Big Jim Colosimo, in 1920, making way for Torrio's rule. As Prohibition began, bootlegging operations opened up and drew in immense wealth. In 1925, Torrio retired, and Capone became the leader of the organized crime in Chicago. He expanded his territories by gunning down his rivals and paying off the government. Al became Torrio's partner and took over as a manager of the Four Deuces, which was headquarters in Chicago's Levee area. Four Deuces served as a speakeasy, a gambling joint, and a whorehouse all underneath one roof. Al Capone also had to deal with rival gangster Bugs Moran and his Northsiders gang. They had been a threat for years, and Moran had even once tried to kill Capone and his colleague, Jack McRun. The decision by Capone and McRun to take out Bugs Moran became known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. On Thursday, February 14, 1929, at 10:30 a.m., Bugs Moran and his gang were lured by a bootlegger to buy whiskey. McGurn's men would be waiting for them, dressed like cops in a stolen police vehicle, to gun them down once they all exited the vehicle. When McGurn's men thought they saw Bugs Moran, they got into their police vehicle and uniforms and drove over to the garage in the stolen police car. Bugs Moran's men were lined up against the wall, guns taken away from them, and gunned down by two machine guns. The only survivor was Frank Gusenberg. The plan appeared to be brilliantly executed, except for one detail. Bugs Moran was not there. As soon as he saw the police car coming to the scene, he took off and got away from the scene of the crime. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre became a national media event, immortalizing Capone as the most ruthless, feared, smartest, and elegant of gangland bosses. He had powerful forces amassing against him, and Capone still indulged in one last bloody act of revenge, the killing of two Sicilian colleagues who he believed had betrayed him. He He pulverized them with a baseball bat, and Capone had observed the old tradition of wining and dining traitors before executing them, because he took them out to eat before he smashed their heads in with a bat. All right, Capone's arrest. Al Capone's arrest took place. Excuse me. Took place in Chicago for tax evasion shortly after Prohibition violations. On March 13th, 1931, a federal grand jury met secretly at the government's claim that in 1924 Al Capone had a tax liability of $32,488. The jury returned an indictment against Capone that was kept secret until the investigation was complete for the years 1925 to 1929. After 9 hours of discussion, on October 17, 1931, the jury found Capone guilty of several counts of tax evasion. Judge Wilkerson sentenced him to 11 years, $50,000 in fines, and court costs of another $30,000, and bail was also denied. In August 1934, Al Capone was moved from a prison in Atlanta to the infamous Alcatraz in San Francisco. His days of privileges in prison were gone, and contact with the outside world, even through letters and newspapers, was minimal. Capone's health was exacerbated by tertiary syphilis, and he became confused and disoriented. His sentence was reduced to 6.5 years for good behavior and due to his illness. After release, Capone slowly deteriorated at his Palm Beach Island palace. His wife, May, stuck by him until January 25th, 1947, where he died of cardiac arrest at the age of 48. That is my informative speech. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.